Hey everybody, welcome to our Smarter Agent training. Today what we're going to be doing is covering a number of points that we studied and learned at the last conference that was put on by RASM. It was the Get Down to Business Conference and Expo, and there were a number of good breakout sessions and things like that too. Plus we had one of the economists come in from NAR, which was very interesting. So these things are important for us to pay attention to and learn. And we did have several agents there. I think it's very valuable for people, agents, to go to these to be able to represent well. Guys, out of over 9,000 agents, there were only about 200 agents there. And I think those agents are definitely having a leg up on others simply because of their knowledge base. So I think what we do, of course, is to help increase your knowledge base. Here we go. This was put on by Pat Tan and her partner, Claudia, Partners in Business. It's basically just says, who is your market? So we're always talking about what is your market? Where is your market? What are you working on? And what's your geographic marketing area and farm area? What I really liked about this is they really approached it the way I do, which is who. I definitely have a target area I would prefer to work, but it's also who. So it's where are we, where are you, and who are you? So you need to be able to know, number one, who are you? You've got to be able to express that well to others. If you can't, you need to take a break and stop and think about it and list those things out. Where do you want to be? Just these things we need to consider. And it's not just where do you want to be in business, where do you want to work? Where do you want that to come from? Who do you want to work with? These are the things to consider in what we do. This was a very good one for me. When they came up, again, this is from Pat and Claudia. When this one came up, and again, they were talking about what they do, which is global or international real estate. But what I gleaned from this is how to research your market. This datacensus.gov. Several of these I've used, a number of these I've used, but the new one on here to me, well, let me read through them. Datacensus.gov is a good one. CIA.gov. It's a world fact book, know who you're working with. But neighborhoodscout.com, I had not seen. It's a really neat site, and you ought to check these out. How about stategov.com, worldproperties.com? Some of the other interesting things about this, of course, is when you're working globally, internationally with people that are coming in from overseas, is to know their traditions. What are they used to experiencing? Do you need to let them know that, hey, we have a single agent here that you come to, and that's me, of course. You need to make sure they know it's you. Otherwise, in a lot of countries, buyers go to the listing agent because that's who you work with. And that's the only person that's going to help them get the house. That's not the way it's set up in the United States. We need to let them know that, and that we can send them properties from every agent out there and let them know everything about them. So we need to become their one resource, right? And again, part of that is showing them, hey, here's even a CPA you might want to talk to about what you're doing and make sure we're on the right page. So important things to think about. Major rate changes narrow the competition. This is actually from the end of the conference. Ricky set this up, Ricky Carth, and he's an agent who is now becoming a trainer, and he knocked it out of the park. You have to be able to say, I've done this, to be able to get other people to follow you oftentimes. And, same thing with what we do here, right, guys? But Ricky has done a really nice job with this. You ought to Google his name. It's on the bottom left of our screen here, and recognize the fact that he's doing this for free right now. He's trying to build a following. So his information data that he's putting out there is excellent. He's sold for 8 years in a row, he sold over $1 million in commissions in real estate. I think that pretty much gives him the authority to speak into my sales life in business. It's kind of like other parts of our lives. You give other people permission to speak into your life, and it only helps if you listen. Iron can only sharpen iron if it's touching each other, right? So don't allow these shifts in the market to scare you into inaction. Prices ebb and flow, as do rates, right? And he also did talk about the fact that you don't marry the rate, you marry the house. Then he got into the fact that in the 40s, we had double-digit inflation, and prices still started to go up after the crash. Prices started to go up and so did rates, but homes were still selling. Thing is, buyers need homes, sellers need to sell homes. We put the two together. There's always those that need to buy and those that need to sell. Our job is, and as professionals, is to find them. In the 70s, mortgage rates in the end of the 70s went up to 18%. In the early 80s, when I graduated high school, so did the rates, and the prices did too. And I remember when my parents bought in Ohio, we had come back from Germany, and when they bought, it was 18%. I remember when I bought my first home, we were thrilled to be at 8%. So this 7.75 or 7.76 we're seeing right now, don't let it scare you into inaction. Do your job and continue to work it, and it'll work. This process works if you do your work. You can't sit on the beach and say, I don't know why I'm not selling anything, because if you look out and down at the sand, you'll realize why you're not selling anything. Okay, guys, you can't do it. You can enjoy those times, and you should, to clear your head. But should that be during your business day? I don't think so. Our current market has rising rates, and prices are still trending up in our areas. Anybody that looks at our MLS will see that. Defaults are low. I know as an office, we trained for defaults because we thought REOs were going to go up, because that's what everybody was claiming. Hasn't happened. There are a few REOs, but if you Google in our search, or not Google, if you look on our search in our MLS system, REO, you're not going to find very many. And their prices are still as high as anything else. So there's very little REO work available in our areas. And personally, I don't want to do REO work if I can avoid it, because personally, again, I think it's bad business. You're being fed by a bank that forces you to do what they want you to do, report after report, and your income is less. Chase the business. So preparing for this surge cycle, this is coming. I think a lot of people are going, gosh, what are we doing? I'm not selling much. I talked to so many people at this conference that weren't selling squat. And it's like, oh my goodness, these are people that have been in it for a while. And I asked them why. They blamed it on rates. They blamed it on other things. And I said, well, are you doing your job? I got a lot of blank stares, but every now and then I would get the, oh, geez. Yeah, and that was before this was coming up, that we need to keep our head down and just do our job. You know, my income and my sales always ebb and flow. It's just the way the business works. We need to continue to do the exact same things, right? If we're doing what we know we need to do on a daily basis, sales will follow. If we're working on relationships instead of transactions, sales will follow in what we do. So sellers want to upsize or downsize. They're still there. This is where the listing surge is going to come from. Listing surge. I want you to focus on listings right now. So understand that there are a lot of sellers out there that are sitting on their homes because they have outstanding rates, but they're also chomping at the bit. They want a different house. There's that 7-year cycle that always hits people, right? So some must buy or sell. It's a constant. What are you doing to position yourself to be ready when that happens? Are you ready when the fireworks start? When rates start to come back down, it's going to be a fireworks show again. It happens every time in these cycles. I've seen it several times. So you need to stack your investor list. A lot of people are like, well, I don't work with investors. Why not? Get on the phones, talk to your friends, talk to people, talk to your sphere of influence. And if you need to, get out the phone book, call people in the areas that you want to geo market and target, and talk to them. Walk your neighborhoods, talk to people that are out walking their dogs. You'd be surprised how many people are just looking to make a friend. Be that friend, have the relationship, and guess what happens? You start asking, hey, are you an investor in real estate? And people are like, no, we just own our home. Oh, okay. So, you know, if a rental property came up or an Airbnb property came up and I could get you a return of $5,000 a month, is that something you wouldn't be interested in? And a lot of people will go, no, not really. Well, would you be interested in real estate? Keep asking questions, see what they say. You'd be surprised how many people end up coming up with something. And or there are the professional investors out there, even though most investors are mom and pop, they're just buying a few things. So are they looking for cash flow? And what do they like? Multifamily, commercial, single family, rentals. What happens when they decide to sell? What if all of these investors decide to sell at the same time? Is that not going to create a surge in our market? Of course it will. And if rates come down, and they have the opportunity to jump, they're going to. But then you better understand what a 1031 tax exchange is and be able to help them with the proper attorneys in place that have the proper intermediaries in place and the proper systems in place to help them handle that properly. Then, you know, the joy of it, you get to help them find another property and identify it within 45 days, and so on and so forth it goes. You need to know how to do these things. Supply shortage. Yeah, we have a shortage right now. It's what's going on in our market. Start looking at permits and things and new jobs, and you know, there are negative ratios show that there were job losses in our area, which is very interesting. And when you compare the jobs from a year ago to now, it has gone down some. A lot of the stuff you hear on the news just isn't quite the truth. You need to research these things yourself. But when you see that inventory and shortage, supply is in shortage, we know what's coming next, right? It's us getting listings to increase that supply and our sales go up. So now we get that listing, and of course it sells, so it comes off, but now we take that seller and we go to another listing because that's exactly what they want. And we need to find that out before they ever market their home. So another buyer's agent can't swoop in and get the sale from when they're trying to buy the next house. We get both sides, but now one's on, one's off. It just kind of balances out in the market, right? Market crash. The media has been proclaiming it for years. YouTube, Facebook. I mean, if you Google this one, it's going to go wild because people love dirty laundry. They love failure. They love to focus on this garbage. It hasn't happened. Doesn't look like it will. Definitely not in our area. More people are moving here. How about active listings are up actually 25%? And that's supposed to say, yeah, are up 25%. Anyway, and I guess this should be a question mark. Are yours? If they're not, time to get on it. Build your database. Stay up with your base. How do you do that? How do you follow up? Well, you need to be the one they think about when they think of real estate. Follow up. I pound this one home because it's old school. Gee, you've actually got to pick up a phone and say, hey, how are you? I know I'd sent you some emails, wanted to make sure you were getting them. I wasn't sure if you'd gotten my text. I'd send you some other listings, and I just wanted to touch base. How's the family? How's everything going in your life? Be a friend. Don't just be a salesperson. It takes both. And honestly, as you build relationships instead of going for transactions, your database is going to build. It's what it is. That's where it comes from. Get listings and have inventory to sell. If you have that, what's going to happen is you're now perusing the MLS, or not the MLS, you're perusing your database and you're going, oh, geez, I can sell my own listing right here before I ever get it onto the market. I'm going to be reaching out to these folks, right? And I'm going to be reaching out to the agents in our own office and saying, hey, can we get this sold before it even gets on the market? Like I've got one that's coming on right now. Listings are taking longer to sell. This is the next step to think about. They just are. If you look at average days on market, they're taking longer. So we should be able to build inventory. I'm focusing back on this again because I've still gotten my listings to price effectively with a shortage of inventory. They're selling like that. And that's great, except it makes it hard to get more buyers when you don't have the home on the market long enough to have an open house. How many listings do you need? This was a very interesting part of this conference, I thought. They're talking about the fact that if you're working with 4 buyers or 4 sellers, or not sellers, let's just stick with 4 buyers, 1 will buy in a timely manner. So if you're working with 4 buyers for a month or 2, every week you're making 0. Every week you're making 0. The next week you're making 0. You show them 100 houses, whatever it may be. They finally buy one. Awesome. You need to divide that income out by all of those weeks because you were only working with 4 people and only 1 bought. What's that tell you about how many people you should be working with in your database? We'll get into that more. Having listings. When you have listings, the entire board of licensed agents are now working for you to help sell them. Isn't that maybe a better position? We always thought that when you had listings, that's great. You have to handhold. You've got to do so much more than a buyer's agent does, but it's so much less frustrating than working with buyers and trying to find exactly what they need. Of course, we do both. Buyers typically can be faster if you are a professional and know exactly what they're looking for. and only show them those properties, right? You need to really define what they're after. But if you have listings, it's not just you out there trying to sell a buyer. All these people, this big pool, are now working for you trying to sell that. And guess what? You're going to get paid. It's a great spinoff. And your seller is going to be delighted with you. How do I get listings? I hear this quite a bit. And you know what? Honestly, I ask myself that in the morning when I come in the office. First, I thank the Lord for a new day, glad to be here. And then I go, oh yeah, talking to homeowners. Homeowners, those are the people you need to talk to. If I'm making a phone call, I've got to make a great first impression, right? Well, yeah, but if it's somebody you know, they're not looking for a great first impression. They're just looking for a friend. Talk to me. Talk to them like a friend. Find out what's going on in their lives. And then, of course, they know you're in real estate. It's going to come around to that. So then after you speak with them, isn't it nice to send them out an email just saying, hey, it was great to talk to you. Glad we caught up. Do your social media side. There's a reason for social. Social media typically is not going to sell your properties for you. A lot of people think that's why we're doing it, and it's not. And they think you're going to get more buyers because of it. You might, but honestly, if you're making calls to your Facebook customers, you're going to be spending a lot of time when you should be talking to homeowners. That's the way you get listings. Social's out there for one reason. You're going to get a listing. And even with folks that you know, of course, because that's going to be most of them, you can show your social media, and maybe they've even been watching you and going, wow, I love the photos you put out there. You're doing a really nice job with that. You're knocking it out of the park. And you can say, yeah, you know what? I've got 3,000 or 3,500 followers now. They're all looking at what's going on. And that's the way I'm going to present your home out there too. It's not just going in the MLS. We're not just banging a sign in the yard and praying for somebody else to sell it. I'm actively after it. And you have to pick up the phone when they call. You got to reach out to them too. They want to hear your voice. You know what's amazing is how many buyers and sellers tell me, my agent didn't call me back. They didn't even pick up their phone. I don't know what's the matter with them. I don't either. Do your job. What do you think would happen if you pick up your phone and called one person a day? Just one. Your business will grow. Now, what would happen if you called 10 to 15 per day? That's my goal. Do I hit it every day? No. Absolutely not. Do I hit that a few days a week? Sure, I do. And I think it's important. But you need to know how much of your day you're going to commit to that, because typically, again, if it's a relational call, you may be on the phone for 30 minutes with them. You're interested in what's going on in their lives. You're not just going, check, I called that person. No, you want that person to think about you and understand you care. So, of course, when you're making those calls, if you can't think of what to say, at least have a quick list of, hey, I'm going to ask these questions to people I talk to. It shows that you care. The more questions you ask, the more they can answer for you, the more they're going to think you care, and you do care. Will any of them choose to work with you? If you know your own value and you can express it well. If you can't and they have other friends that are realtors, they're going to like you, but they might not work with you. So stop and think. Most people don't just stop and think. Stop and think in the morning before you get going. Rates will change, and then there will be a wave of home sales. You need to have those listings, guys. Let's get those sales. Sellers' frustration thoughts. This is real. I want to move, but I can't. They're locked into their rate and in their heads, and they can't do it. Demand is building in them. They need that fourth bedroom. They just had another baby. Oh, this house is getting smaller. Man, we just need a little more room. Boy, I wish we had a pool. Oh my gosh, I'm tired of looking at the back of these neighbors' homes. They're loud, their stereo is really aggravating. I wish I could look out at a peaceful pond. I want to move, but I can't. Help them through that. You know, what's interesting is how many 33 to 35-year-old first-time home buyers are sitting on the sidelines right now. They're wanting to buy. Now we're talking about the buyers. They want their own home. They're tired of paying 100% interest. Help them. Help them get past that interest portion. Yes, it costs a little more to buy a home right now. You do get a little bit less for more money. Doesn't mean you can't refinance it down the road and modify that. But right now, you can get them into a home and they'll be delighted. So look at those first-time home buyers programs. Look at the Hometown Hero programs. Help these folks. Draw a picture of where you want to be too, and go for it. If you're only working with 4 buyers and sellers, your weekly return, again, I'm just trying to get at this, is nothing. You might get 1 sale a month. If you get one sale a month, you're really rocking, honestly, for most people in this business. What I want to see is one sale a week. If you can do that, oh my gosh, life gets easier and easier. It's just such a nice place to be. If you're working with 25 buyers and sellers now, you're in business. You are in business and you know who to call every day. You're calling your database, right? And you will find more buyers and sellers. Just because you're working with buyers and you have listings doesn't mean you stop making your calls. Build that database, guys. How about a daily routine? This isn't from me, but it's like, oh, this is a great daily routine to try and shoot for. So Ricky came out with this one, 9 to 12. This is what he did. He was making phone calls to property owners. When he first started selling $1 million a year, he wasn't even on Facebook. He had no social media. He was just using the phone, and he was selling condos in Alabama, but it was where he grew up. And he knew, according to his mentor, that if he just ignored the news, ignored all of the social stuff, and just got on the old school phone and started calling people, you have business. He did it and his sales went through the roof. Watch the MLS hot sheet every day. You got to know your inventory. Watching opportunities will help urge you to know who to call in your sphere. It definitely helps me. I look at it every morning. And again, this is just your job. If it's your job, take it seriously and do it. Okay, so that's 9 to 12. Then he's got noon on social media. So he is working social media now, and he's working in other areas. But he talks about doing your stories, doing your reels, doing your blogs, doing your podcasts, expressing what new inventory is out there. But his big thing is just find your thing and do it and put it out there so people see you and generate a following. We need the following, again, to help with getting those listings. So the other big thing for Ricky is weekly emails. He also has free templates you can use. Check out his free coaching. I know we have templates too. We've got things on our app files. You guys need to look at them. If we don't have enough, tell me. I'll help design more, and we'll use ones that work. So back to this. Guys, our market always surges back. The Fed has messed up things. There's no doubt about it, and it's a bear. But it doesn't mean that we still shouldn't be selling properties and helping buyers buy properties. So be prepared to advise your customers. If you don't give your opinion, nobody's going to listen to you. If your opinion's inaccurate, less people are going to listen to you. Know what you're talking about, study the inventory, study the stats, and give your opinions. What's holding you back from doing your job? If you don't know what's holding you back, I would say that it's simply that you're not disciplining yourself. Discipline yourself to do it, and you'll be so happy, guys. So as we come to the end of Get Down to Business Conference and Expo, I just wanted to throw this up there. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. So when people hang up on you on the phone, sometimes you need to just smile and go, okay, they must be having a bad day. I'm going to call this next person because they can't wait to talk to me. You need to get to the person that wants to talk to you and talk to them. Hope you guys have a great day and you got a lot out of this. Take care.